Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I have yet another guest for everybody this week. She is one of my close friends. Her name is Brooke. She is a nurse, a holistic health coach, ex-bodybuilder. She is actually the friend who got me into coaching way back in the day, freaking like 4.5 years ago now.
Crazy.
Last November, we actually
That.
went, huh?
I said longer than that, isn't it?
I think it
Yeah.
was, yeah, 5 years,
Yeah.
like
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
around COVID time. Last year in November, she's the friend that I went to Tony Robbins with, and we say after that, our lives literally have done a 180. We have changed. So I'm excited to get into that, into what ways our lives have changed. She recently, like, I don't know, within the last 2 years, right, got out of a relationship and very recently took a travel nursing contract and moved from Minnesota to Tennessee. And
Okay.
in all of these moves, she's done some major reflecting on just her own choices, on, the woman that she wants to become, and she, as a coach herself, kind of dissecting why women think and act the way that they do in our society, and the boundaries, the structures of how we're supposed to act versus who we truly are. And so I'm
Yeah.
excited to crack open. We will go forever. So we're gonna have
Oh,
to
yeah.
I got a
We need a
grocery.
buzzer because, yeah, we'll be here till the sun goes down.
I purposely planned a grocery pickup for an hour and a half from now.
I do too. Yeah. That's so funny.
So we're gonna have a juicy ass conversation for everybody. I guess the place to start is what are you most passionate in life about, or what are you most passionate about in life right now? What are you studying? What are you focused on? What are you ranting about on Instagram? Let's
Oh,
start
yeah.
there.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of what I bring into coaching, a lot of it is like where I'm currently at, things I've gone through, and what I feel like I've learned, and just that just ruminates my thoughts. And therefore, I want to spill it out on Instagram, spill it out in coaching. So for me, yeah, I think the most recent, like pivotal thing for me has been the relationship that ended 2 years ago and us going to Tony Robbins. And then the spiritual journey I've been on. Like those three combinations have like led into like currently, I feel like I'm at a place where now I am really dissecting culture versus how Brooke, wants to act and move throughout society and how I want to live my life. And just that has kind of bled into just other stereotypes of women versus men and toxic femininity versus actual feminism and feminine versus masculine energy in business, kind of all these different things. So it's kind of like the stem of it though has been healing from a kind of a bad toxic relationship essentially. And then
Mhm.
us, I feel like our friendship has grown so much. I mean, because we knew each other in college,
Mhm.
but our friendship didn't bloom till after college.
Mhm.
And I think even like stemming from getting into coaching and then, both of us bodybuilding and and then whatever has stemmed from there. I don't know. I feel like everything in my life has bloomed though in the last like 2 years. And I just use my relationship, my last like intimate relationship, as like just a pivot point for me because it was a pivot point within how I want to date within dating men, but it also has bled like friendships and relationship with myself, family, career. I live in Tennessee now. Like all this stuff wouldn't have happened if I was in that last relationship.
Which I was just talking to a friend yesterday, and we were talking about how I truly believe every single person can be a mentor, can be a coach. Like we all have our own personal journeys that we've been through. And a lot of times, like in the hardest times, in the hardest moments, in the hardest situations, that's actually when you get out of them, that's where you're growing the most and flourishing the most. And you're able to take those life experiences and truly use it as your power and use it as something that turns into a positive that you are able to help and impact other people. So I love that you have that mindset and you bring it into, your coaching, your life, like the woman that you are. I'm curious about
Yeah.
what are What are some of the personal shifts that you have made? Like when you talk about culture versus being your true authentic self, what are some of the, yeah, personal shifts that you've made in your own life revolving around that subject?
Yeah. I will just say, because I wanna go back to the point where, like, I was leaving that relationship because it was that pivotal for me. And I feel like when we talk about certain like personality traits, like how some people are a hustler and their work ethic, and like, are people born with that? Do they grow into that? Is it a skill set that's learned? And so I thinking of that, pieces of that I feel like have always been in me. And then in this relationship, when it came to leaving it, I remember saying to myself when it was ending, I wanna rip the Band-Aid, like, know it's gonna be freaking hard, and I wanna go through that hard, and I wanna go through it as fast as possible, but I don't wanna be, like, numb through it. I wanna let it change me, and I wanna feel everything. I wanna feel the bad, I wanna talk about it, I wanna feel the good, and I wanna keep moving and changing throughout it. And I don't just say that because it, like, sounds good, and I say that because I feel like that's what people need to hear and do, and they're so afraid of changing because we know it hurts, and I think you just have to accept that things are gonna freaking suck and hurt, like, I was already at and a lot of times, people don't change until their current situation is so bad that the thought of originally changing their current state is now worse than that. So I
Mm,
think when you come to a point where you're like, this already sucks, let's go through it. And at that point, I was already down 20 pounds. My hair was falling out. I had acne all over my face. I had no confidence left over. My bank account was dwindling. I was near graduating nursing school. I'm like, in my eyes, right? Because in your own little world, it's almost as if life can't get much worse, right?
mhm,
And so I think for me, it's like, you know what? We are embracing this. The relationship is done. I was with this person for like almost 3 years. I had a ring on my finger, left, figured out the details that needed to be dealt with, and a week later, he's been blocked and we have not talked since. And I'm literally just like tunnel vision, like chasing the life that like I even it looked like a glimmer at the end of that, but that's
mhm,
we all have that, and I think even in our darkest times, we all have that little glimmer, and I was just so determined to stay fixated on that and just, like, grow through that pain, and in that, I've always been a person that I've claimed myself as independent and introverted, and I can figure things out myself, and I don't wanna talk to anyone, I can just go through my stuff, and I mean, I give this part to God because I was at such a low point that I don't know how I had logic thought left in me, honestly. But I knew that about myself, and I knew that if I wanted to truly like rip the Band-Aid, run through this tunnel and get to the other side of healing, I needed to find community and
mm,
I needed to find people that I could talk to that cared and that would kind of help me. And so I forced myself to talk about how I was feeling and going through that relationship and just finding my right circle. And I think the relationship, having that reflection, finding my people, finding God deeper, and that has just kind of been like the domino effect into kind of like where I guess where I'm at now and why my confidence has come back because talk about building self-trust back up into yourself. I think a lot of just like confidence and self-trust comes with like knowledge and wisdom from experience. And I feel like if
mm.
I would have went through that experience differently, I wouldn't feel how I feel today.
Mhm. I love how you almost say, like, choose the hard, like, rip the Band-Aid off, run right through it, feel it, because as you were speaking, I was thinking through even the realm or lens of health, like a health and fitness journey. Like, it's going to be hard. You're going to feel that resistance. That's something that I catch myself saying time and time again. I'm like, "The resistance is a good thing. You're supposed to be feeling that. You're supposed to be feeling the hard. You're supposed to be feeling all of these feelings, just like you said, because
Mm,
that is the growth. You don't grow when you're not going through something hard, when you're not
yes,
feeling that resistance. So I love how you say that in the context of your situation, but that's every realm in life. Like
yes.
whenever I feel the feelings of ooh, maybe business feeling hard, I'm like, good,
Mhm.
good, bring it on.
Yep, yep. And my favorite question now is to ask why a million times for any situation. Like, even if we're speaking relationship, because I just brought that up. Like, if I said, "Oh, I want to stay in my relationship," and if someone were to ask me why, and if we're just honest with ourselves every time someone asks, or if we just ask ourselves why, you can get to root issues of why you want to stay in your current situation, whether it's a relationship, whether it's weight loss, whether it's growing in your career, anything. If you ask yourself why a million times and be honest with yourself
Mhm,
and ask other people in your life like why they think that of your current life too. And I think it's so important. This is probably a different tangent now, but like I think everyone in their life should have at least one person that mm, that can have like full access and almost like unsolicited advice and opinions onto their life, but you know that their heart is centered good and that they have your best interest at heart, because
mhm,
we need those people to help push us to the life that we say we want for ourselves. There's so many
mhm,
people and friends that are just yes man, and God forbid one time they do speak their actual opinion and then we call that a fight within a friendship, and it's like no, we're actually just trying to like push you to be better, but you are
mhm,
unable to accept that.
mhm.
So I think it's so important to have people in your life that you've given that permission to have access to pushing you to be better.
Yeah.
And if you haven't already known that you are that person in my life to continue to give me your unsolicited advice to make me better always.
Ditto. When we have a group chat going, and I'll go in there and I'll send 10-minute voice notes of just diary dumps.
Yeah.
We have a common theme of okay, we need to regulate our nervous systems, and I said, Brooke, you are my nervous system regulation. Your voice,
Gosh. No, it's so needed though.
yeah.
And I don't think we realize it until you have it. And I think a lot of women can agree how hard that is. And that can be a whole nother conversation to why we make it so hard. And I think there's a lot there.
And where do you find it? I feel like I've had this conversation with a few other people, guests, all the things, but I'm always curious from your perspective. Like you talk about this person or these people that, okay, I want your unsolicited advice. I know you're a growth-minded person. I know you have my best interest in mind. What if somebody's sitting there listening, thinking, I don't think I have anybody like that in my life. Where do you start to
Mhm.
find that?
I think that you should find people that are living a life that you want to live in any capacity. If they think the way that you would like to think, if they have a career that you would like to have, if they have a relationship that you would like to have, if they have a spiritual level that you would like to have, then you need to immerse yourself into environments and people like that. And you just have to get uncomfortable and like going up to people too. I mean, that's something that like I've almost made like fun within my
Mhm,
life, is just like sparking conversation with people in different environments. Like you never know who you're going to meet that
mhm,
you can eventually get close to and just grow off of them and make a friendship
mhm.
and
I've
go
thought
from
about too. I like something that I've utilized a lot in life is mentorship.
yeah.
Because that's another place where you for sure, right? Like when exactly like you were saying is find the people who are living lives, or I even think like have the maybe a thought process like that you can tell they think differently
Yep.
than you because I know that everything comes back to your brain and the way that you think. So that's how I've gone about even making mentorship decisions and choices is, oh, this person, yes, they have maybe results that I want in life, but they also are on the same wavelength, or they have some, I look at almost like unlocks in life. Like there's levels to life and levels to
Yeah.
how unlocked your brain can get. And so that's always kind of guided my mentorship decision. So I think that's also a really powerful outlet if, let's say, you're in a position where I'm thinking like you're in a small town, and there's not many people to go out and find, or not many opportunities. That's always a good option too.
For sure. And I think too, it's like it all comes back to like how do people talk and how like what is their headspace and their mindset around things? Like
Mhm.
so closely pay attention to how people talk about, when they're at work. Like are they not that you're always gonna be excited to be in work, but like are you coming in like pessimistic? How do you talk about your significant other? How do you talk about your family? How do you see your future? How do you spend your free time? Just like stuff like that that sounds so like duh, but like people don't actually like think about that stuff. And then they wonder when things go wrong why their friends suck or why they can't find a significant other, or why they can't progress in their career. And you kind of got to break it down that simply. Like, well, who are you surrounding yourself around and what are you okay with in your life?
Mhm. And that
Mhm.
plays into like this topic of culture versus being your authentic self. Like you have to be very particular with where you give your time and energy. That's both to people in real life, that's people online, on Instagram, on TikTok, like where your energy goes or flows, or your attention flows. What's the quote? Like where your attention goes, your energy
Yeah.
flows,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
But that's something that I've really, like, I had one of my clients ask me yesterday. She's like, "Well, what do you consume?" And I'm like, I really very recently have been trying to stop all consumption. Like I have a few books that I read, but outside of that, you will not catch me doom scrolling on social media. If I do, I'm like instantly deleting the app, closing out of it, because I want to get to a point of I asked this in our little group chat the other day. I'm like, who would we be if there was no social media? If there was nobody to compare to, if there were no like ideals or standards or like this, expectations or anybody to compare yourself up to, what type of life would you actually be living? And so that's something I've been dabbling with is, okay, when it is just right before we recorded this podcast, Brooke was saying that we're, as humans, we're meant to kind of sit and be bored and sit and like flex our own creativity. And so that's essentially the process that I've been trying to take myself through, is like blinders up. Like what type of life do I actually want to be living? Like if I'm not trying to be something that I feel like I'm supposed to be, or a box that I'm supposed to be morphed into. So what are your thoughts on that?
Oh my gosh. I think if especially if you are unhappy in any way in your life or you want something that you don't currently have, you need to cut distraction out of your life. And I think for everyone we can say social media and then go from there. Um it's just crazy how social media has just totally impacted human beings and in every possible way. And even if you think about like, because I oftentimes now think back, like, what was life like thousands of years ago? Obviously, like, no internet, social media, but even think in the realm of, like, news and mirrors. We were never meant to look in the mirror as many times as we do today. Like, it's no
Mhm.
wonder why people are so caught up in self-comparison, and they have no self-esteem and confidence, and we're constantly looking in the mirror, putting on filters, going on social media, seeking external validation, and it's all over the place, and if you don't get it from Instagram, you can go to TikTok or you can go to your camera roll or you can look in a mirror, you can go to it's I mean, it's everywhere. We're constantly getting feedback on our lives and other people's lives, and it's yeah.
I love the topic of external validation because this is something that I've been thinking very deeply about recently. Because I was again, we were just talking about this before. I'm like, we should have started recording like 30 minutes earlier
I
to do
know.
a whole ass conversation.
15
Um,
minutes in, okay, pause.
but, but I was mentioning me, as Brooke said, we've kind of been on the same wavelength. Like we bodybuild, during the same time together, kind of went through the same, where we've been on the same wavelength. And the way that health and fitness fits into both of our lives now compared to 3 years ago is completely different. And as I scroll like through my feed is now it consists of not necessarily influencers and coaches and things like that. It's my community. Like the females that follow me, I follow them, and that's what I'm consuming. And so I scroll through and I see females posting these like their before and after photos, their 4 week transformation where they really don't even look much different, but you can tell they're trying and sucking in. And I'm like, it breaks my heart,
Mhm,
honestly, because from again, the point that I'm at, probably we're at in health and fitness, is we're no longer using it as a means to an end. I say nowadays, like your health and fitness plan, like you are not supposed to morph to that. When you think of like a classic bodybuilding plan, it's like eat your food, drink your water, do your weightlifting, do your cardio, check in, progress photos, all the things. And I'm like, like now
yeah.
I have this vision of like, or this mindset of like, for what? Like we're
Yes.
not doing it for ultimate health. We're not doing it for whatever the fuck, whatever excuse, like, oh, I want to reach my full potential or bullshit, whatever bullshit. It comes back to external validation. Like the reason why anyone really, maybe not, I shouldn't generalize, but I would say a majority of women, especially the women that I call in, the reason why they're wanting to change their bodies, morph their bodies, jam their bodies into this box is because society is shoving down their throats, hey, women are supposed to look like this and you're not worthy, you're not capable, you're not this, you're not that, you're not enough if you don't look like this, if you don't have a thin waist, if you don't have a shredded upper body, if you don't have zero cellulite on your thighs, then you're not beautiful, you're not enough, you're not worthy. And I feel like that's what's driving a majority of women to want to change, and they're essentially trying to jam themselves, their life into this plan, when in reality your health and fitness should be adding to your life. It should be morphing to your life. And so this topic of external validation is like hot on my heart because it's something that I've done a lot of internal reflection and just watching how other, especially we were talking about how the gym and fitness culture and diet culture, it is an entire culture in itself. It's almost like I look at it like brainwashing of an entire section of the population.
Mhm. Yeah. So your face, I love it. So another thing that because I'm constantly doing the double-edged sword thing. And I have a lot of background in like psychology too. So I think a lot about like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And there is a need for belonging.
Mhm.
A sense of validation is okay and that is healthy. And I think though, where we cross the line of like getting unhealthy is when you're now seeking external validation to build trust within yourself. You're getting external validation that feeds all of your confidence. That if you don't get that, you don't know who you are. And you also tie success into that. And I think I can kind of speak, at least in terms of like my own journey, which I feel like can also speak to the majority, at least in terms of, the people who have bodybuilded. I got into it from like leaving sports and being competitive and in more reflection, realizing that what we're praised for and reinforced by growing up is where we're gonna tie what we think success looks like. So for me, growing up, I was always praised on all the things I was doing, achievements, getting A's, doing well in gymnastics. And so when that is gone, where was my identity? who's Brooke and where I'm getting no more validation. So what am I going to do to try and find that? Well, I need to find the next achievement because that's what I thought my self-worth and success was. So then I went to bodybuilding and I started at such I was 19 when I started. And for me, I started from what I thought was a place of there was little social media then. I was going to Snap Fitness by myself, wasn't filming my workouts, wasn't taking pictures. It was like when bodybuilders say like I'm in it for the nitty-gritty, the discipline, the blood, sweat and tears, the whatever. Yes, there is that from bodybuilding and I am grateful for those healthy pieces of bodybuilding. But then there's that turning point of you step on stage. What comes from stepping on stage? Photos, glammed up. You're half naked in a bikini and you've never looked like that before. You get people coming out the wazoo telling you how good you look and they want to be coached by you and I think this goes from male and female though. You're going to get the opposite sex attraction more in that industry. Um and then it breeds a whole nother reason to why I wanted to continue. And a lot of bodybuilders or people in the industry won't probably say that, but that is the truth. You get to a point where you receive so much external validation that it does shift why you want to continue because let's be real, if you are truly bodybuilding and you are getting that level of lean, it is why do you think bodybuilders get blood work 3 times a year? No one needs to get blood work 3 times a year unless it's unhealthy for you.
Mhm.
So it is not healthy long term. It is not sustainable. It's not fun. You're literally starving 24/7. Women lose their periods. There's you're unable to be intimate if you're in a relationship because you have no sex drive. I mean, there's so many pieces to it. Why I think people continue, I think social media is a large part of that. If there was no way to document being a bodybuilder and stepping on stage, I think 90% of people would fall off. Truly. So,
Mhm.
I'll pause there. I have a lot more to say. I'll give you
As you're talking, it's like, okay, I so resonate with, okay, yeah, you get the photos done and glammed up and like that's a piece that I talk about where I'm like, that is not me. I remember I cried the
Mhm.
the first
Yeah,
show, the first
yeah,
makeup. I was like, I fucking hate this. This is not me. The sparkly suits, the heel, the fucking naked, you got to stand in a
yeah.
room naked and get tanned up. I'm like, none of this is the real me. Like if you look at me now, I got natural hair. Like I did actually put makeup on today. Look at me go.
Okay, but quick pause though for anyone that doesn't know, I coached summer
Yeah.
for bodybuilding and I was there for the show and I remember you coming out and here I am though where I still remember this because I reflect on it a lot too because I remember saying like, "Oh my gosh, you look so good. I like your makeup, I like your hair." And you're like, "I hate it." And that was like reflection for me though too of like I can't just push like thinking, "Oh, you look good." Here I am giving you validation that you I mean, I'm so thankful that you are the person that you are too, because it made me think like, here she is, she's stage lean. You freaking won the overall there. You looked great. Yeah, I thought you looked beautiful, but you didn't like that though. And I
Mhm.
think that is so pivotal. And how many bodybuilders do you think have had that realization on show day? I would
Mhm.
say close to none. Okay, I'll let you
Mhm.
finish.
Mhm. And I don't know. I do a lot of reflecting. I think the reason why I stepped up on stage, did the thing, and instantly I was like, I'm never doing that ever again. Versus a lot of females do the opposite. It's like, okay, straight into another one. Like here we go. And I think a big part of that is I don't know. I grew up with a mother who actually loved herself a little too much. Like I think a lot of females grow up with mothers who hate themselves and who sit and pick themselves apart. And so honestly, I have never obviously there's parts of yes bodybuilding and yes even the way that I'm wired as a high achiever. So there's parts of my life that are very external validation driven, but I do think when it comes to my body and like like the health fitness side of things, a lot of it has never really been externally like external validation. A lot of it has been internal. And so that, like, regardless of getting all the compliments and all the things, I was very aware, like that entire 6 month span of like, yo, the cons of this situation are highly outweighing the pros of the
Yes.
situation. And so I feel like that's the awareness that I had like during the entire prep and show day and everything.
Yep.
Um, and obviously, like, it stroked my freaking ego to win the win the thing
Yeah.
overall the first show. But
Uh-huh.
outside of that, like, you go backstage and you binge on 5 cookies, and it's like, okay.
Yeah.
So that was
How many times have you seen a bodybuilder post a week after show day, "I've never hit such a low. I'm so depressed. I don't know where to go from here," because they had their peak level of validation that they've never received that much confirmation in their life, and then it's completely gone because they no longer have something that they're working towards to get that validation again.
And as you were speaking, like the okay, yes, the external validation, but behind closed doors, you're losing your period, you're losing your sex drive, you're literally going insane over food. And then I sit here and I'm thinking, for what?
Yeah.
For
Yes.
what?
Mhm. They there's another saying that you have a million problems in the world until you have a health problem, then you only have one. And I wish more people had that mindset, especially going into bodybuilding, because we I mean, there's just something ab this is gonna get a little morbid, but we just don't think that we're gonna die. We don't think that, like, anything is gonna happen to us, and so we do these things that are so self-hindering and so harmful on our health that whether I mean, we're talking bodybuilding right now, but I mean, we can talk about chronic stress on our health. They say, that can be equivalent to having a heart attack or high blood
Mhm,
pressure is chronic
mhm,
stress. Um
mhm,
and I think even, like, external validation aside, because 'cause you'll obviously have some people say, "I don't do it for the validation." Bodybuilding is also a drug. Let's talk about that. Like, a lot of times people will get into bodybuilding to leave something else that was toxic in their life, whether it's
mhm,
drugs, whether it's whatever. There's a lot of, like, military people that get into it, a lot of people
mhm.
that come from just kind
Hurt.
of rough yeah, hurt, rough upbringings, and they use that bodybuilding and steroids because it's again, it's kinda like how alcohol is a glorified substance. It's
Mhm,
an accepted substance, and I feel like bodybuilding and steroids in this fitness bodybuilding culture is just it's accepted, but really
mhm.
it's such a mask for so much trauma and hurt for people.
Mhm. What do you think the healthier solution is?
Therapy. It's
Just
like
personal development, like figuring out your shit, right? And figuring out like I say like be reflective of like why, right? Like when I ask the question for what, like as a like it's not even just bodybuilders, it's the entire female population, like probably 99% of females again put so much pressure on themselves to change their bodies. And it's like if you could just ask the real kind of like your why, like for what? Why do you want to change your body? Okay, why? Like dive deeper into the why and get to the real root of what it is. And I think I'm gonna answer my own question and then yeah.
Yeah, and I'll be real too when you're done, not just
And I think it comes back to a lot of women, especially because I call in a lot of high achievers, overachievers, career driven, like very just driven and wired women, women that like control. And I
Mhm.
think a huge, huge part of it is trying to fill this void inside of ourselves. Like, oh, I don't feel like I'm enough. And so I need to go out and I need to prove to that's a big argument in the bodybuilding. I just want to prove it to myself. Like you're gonna prove it to yourself by starving yourself and stepping up on stage in a sparkly bikini. What is that proving? Like
Yeah.
truly.
Nobody cares.
No.
Nobody cares. It's so sad. I'm like, "Oh, they're making this huge long post, but they're trying to prove this person I'm trying to prove them." Who's them? Because them
Mhm.
don't care.
No, they don't give a shit. Sorry.
It is sad.
But I think that's what a lot of it, because even the self-reflection, like I think as a high achiever, I think a lot of it comes back to what you talked about is, okay, as a child, you were only praised for doing, never praised for or rarely praised for being, for just being yourself. And so we grow up, we become adults, and we're wired in this way to say, I have to be doing in order to feel like I'm worthy, in order to feel like I'm enough, in order to feel good about myself. I constantly have to be having outputs. That could be career, that could be bodybuilding, that could be marathon running, that could be a different realm. It could just be never being able to sit down on the couch and rest or sit down and do nothing. It's always doing, 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 going, 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 checking shit off because you are literally wired to do so. Like your system is wired for that validation. And so when I ask the question of like what's the healthier solution and you say therapy, I think what you mean is like getting to that root cause and healing that part of yourself that is wired for doing, because I always say like we're human beings, we're not human doings. Like we're meant to be. We're meant to be enough just as we are. You don't have to go out and do. You can if you really want to, and it's it becomes the fullest expression of yourself. But I think part of it is being and appreciating that.
Mhm. I think so much of it comes back to reflecting because if like I don't think there's anything wrong with doing, let's even just say a bodybuilding show, a marathon, making a certain amount of money, being an entrepreneur as a woman. But I think you have to ask yourself why you want to do those things. Like, okay, I want to do a bodybuilding show because I like sports, I'm competitive, I like to work out, and I like to, do something hard. Okay, cool. That's awesome. And then there's the other piece of it where it turns toxic, right? Like, well, I also kind of like it because I get validation and it's socially acceptable for me to post my body on Instagram now because it's bodybuilding and it's acceptable, but also like I kind of want to post my booty for like the validation I get there. And it gives me more access to like whatever. So there's both sides of it, right? There's good and then there's the bad. And I think we have to be so honest with ourselves in any area, and then we could even go into like business too, like, well, I feel like I have a lot of skill set to like be an entrepreneur, but then there's the other realm where it totally is self-consuming. I tie my worth to it, and I think that's where you have to separate and say, okay, what I'm doing is going to fulfill these good qualities, where I have these kind of toxic qualities that I'm trying to fit as well. Where can I put that energy, or what else can I do with that energy in that time to kind of fill what I'm looking for? Like, okay, maybe I'm looking for male validation. Maybe I can call my dad. Maybe I can talk to him about how I feel. Just putting that energy and effort into a healthier avenue. Or like, okay, if I want to post my body on Instagram for validation, why do I need that? Because I don't feel confident and sexy on my own. I need other people to tell me that I am. Well, why don't I feel pretty? Because I don't look like society's standard of blonde hair, blue eyes, perfect nose, perfect lips, skinny waist. Like, oh, like you can just break things down that far. Like it truly helps your state of mind and to just live life so much more peaceful and in less anxiety and worry, and you're just so much more reflective of why you're doing what you're doing and just being honest. Because I think like we could sit up here and like just totally bash bodybuilding, but I think it's so much more like real to talk about like, okay, what are the good things bodybuilding has brought us? Why did we do it? And then what were like the negative things of why we were doing it, and like where can we harness that energy to like elsewhere? Like, right, we're both not bodybuilding anymore because I think we've determine that the cons outweigh the pros, and we're directing that energy into elsewhere, which I think has flourished the both of us in different ways.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a bone in my body that believes bodybuilding is good. Maybe somebody could convince me, but I don't know, maybe I'm a little biased, but I think the when you say the good parts, I think the part that a majority of people are gaining is the self-trust. Like it's masked as like this discipline and this grit, but I think the big thing that I gained and loved from it was saying, "Hey, I'm gonna do this thing and I'm gonna give it my all." Like 10 out of 10, we're not cutting corners. We're gonna finish the gallon of freaking water every single day. It doesn't matter whether I'm chugging half a gallon at 9 p.m., like it's happening and we're doing it. And I think that's the really like good side of it is a lot of people find that self-trust, but then I ask myself, and I'm like, there are so many better, healthier ways
Other ways.
to
Yes.
build self-trust that
Yeah.
actually add to your life. And
Mhm.
so I think it comes back to the topic too of like, I always say, what are your three biggest values in life? Because to me, like my health is number one, absolute number one, like longevity, like I'm living to 150. I don't care what anybody
Yeah.
tells me. It's
Yep. Yep.
aside from that, it's I think like being truly authentic to yourself is another huge value. I value obviously family and community overall. Like those are huge, huge values in my life. And so when you actually align the decisions that you're making or kind of compare and contrast, like, okay, how am I living my day-to-day life and do they actually match up to those values? And to me, like especially high achievers, most people sitting in their seat right now listening to this podcast episode are probably very similar values to that. But when I chalk up my choices and the choice to compete and the choice to put myself through that, it's like my values that I say I'm living by do not match up with that. Like that's where I really had to get real with myself and ask myself, okay, why did I do that? Why did I put myself through that? Because it wasn't for the value of health, it wasn't for the value of being my authentic self, and it wasn't through the value of community. I was alone, I was isolated, I was pissed off, I was cutting everybody out from my life. It was probably the most unhealthy thing I've ever done, and like the least authentic self or authentic thing that I've ever done. And so that's where you
Yes.
have to get curious of, okay, you can say that health is your value all day long, or that even having a relationship to God is a value of yours all day long, but how are you actually living your life? Like what are the choices that you are actually making? And let's be real for a second. Like your ideal values, yes, but what are, if you were to look back at the six months of your choices, where are your values actually lying? And that's where bodybuilding had opened up my eyes to holy shit, I am simply doing this out of, whether you want to call it external validation. I think it was more that like energy of I'm not enough and I need to go out and like prove this to myself to prove that I'm enough, and to like I always chalked it up to like, oh, I just want to live the best life with like the biggest rap sheet, like I did this
Yeah.
and this. But again, that comes back to external validation, it comes back to ego, it comes back to attaching yourself to this identity of like I need to be the number one. I need to be the one who does all of this cool shit, but for what?
Gosh. Literally everything you just said. I mean, that was literally perfect. And it's so true because like you just said, because I think there's a piece of that for me too, where I didn't just compete just for like that external validation. It was more of like, I always want to be the person in the room that's doing the most. And for me, I felt like bodybuilding was kind of one of those checklist things. And then it's like, okay, even starting a business, like it's just kind of like I want to be the
The number one.
yes, yes, like, it's and feeding the ego, yes, like, I think there's again, there's so many pieces to that where I think the principle of a lot of things is, like, right, the principle of bodybuilding, like, we like the grit, the chase, the grind, the building a business, like, there's all these principles of those things that we like, but then there's that other realm. We have to have that double-edged sword in this because I think we just have to be so reflective to figure that stuff out. And it's so true though, coming back to values like you talked about, like we all say our values are one thing, but so many of us are living something so different. And that's kind of another rabbit hole I've been down too. Like even what I just posted on Instagram yesterday. Like it was kind of like a funny little like Jesus thing, but then I was with a man who was not even Christian. How does that
Mhm.
make sense? If God is number one in my life, but I'm with someone that's not Christian. Like, and I think it's so important. And then with that, I talk about accountability because anytime something goes wrong in our life, we want a pity party. We want, again, external validation. We'll post our sad story on Facebook or Instagram, and people will be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm praying for you. Or, oh my gosh, they did you so dirty. We'll blame everyone else and every other thing but ourselves.
And
Okay.
then I look at that and I go, the amount of time that it took you to post that rant, to type it out, to record it, I'm like, you could be fixing your life. Like, go fix
Yes.
your life instead of posting the fucking rant.
Yes. And another thing that I just said too is take full accountability for your life.
Yeah.
Even the things that happen to you that are not your fault, because when you can take accountability for your life, all power is back in your hand.
Mhm.
Yes, the relationship that I was in, did I deserve everything that he did to me? No. But if I take accountability though, for after 3 times of him doing me wrong, it's all my fault because why am I still there?
Yeah.
And that goes for anything in life. If anything, yeah. I mean, we need to realign our values and we need to take accountability over our lives.
Yep. I call that radical responsibility, baby.
Yeah. Thank you, Tony Robbins.
Oh, okay, I want to go back to the topic of okay, we want to be number one at everything. Because
Mm,
I got my head spinning and thinking, and I'm like, what
yes.
what drives that? Like, what does that mean about us if we come in at number two, number 10, number 20? Like, what chord does that strike in us, and why does it
So
matter? 'Cause
worthless. I feel absolutely worthless if I am not number one.
see, but
I
like,
think I think it all like if I'm truly honest, I think it goes back to childhood. I mean, I was firstborn. I like anything that I did, I was like pushed to be good at it. And I feel like naturally in me though, like I had that work ethic and that drive and I wanted to be good along with the reinforcement. And so anytime I got an A, I was so praised for it. Anytime I did well in gymnastics, I was so praised for it. I became Miss Annandale, so praised for it. Like every little thing felt like on top for me. And then leaving high school, it just is like, all right, what else? What can I do in the real world that feels like that?
and okay, this is where I've been getting very curious. Like, I don't give a damn about what. If you're listening and you're offended, please stop listening.
Yeah,
Because we're
right.
here. We're going here. Like the gender roles, right? There is a clear difference between a man and a woman. There is a clear difference between the hormonal structures, between just our innate being and the way that we are wired. There's a difference. You cannot tell me that there is not. So
Yep,
again, if you're offended, goodbye.
yep.
if you're
You're not our
if you're
people
a real
anyways.
if you're a real one, hello.
Yeah.
Welcome to the conversation.
Yeah.
But that's where I start to wonder, like this innate, like, okay, want to be number one. If you think back to tribal days, caveman days, whatever, right? Men were the protectors, the providers. They went out, they hunted. Like, I think this, like, I need to be number one energy is more of a, it should be more of a man trait, right? Because they need to go out and they need to be the hunters. They need to be the protectors, the providers. Like, if you're not number one, you're dead, your entire family is dead. Women, though, stayed back. They stayed in communities. They took care of the children. They maybe like went and gathered some berries. But I don't like this is where I get curious of like I think because I look at Logan, I have Logan who is that like I need to be number one and I need to grind, 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 but it doesn't impact him the way that it impacts me. It actually like lights him up and gives him energy on a daily basis. Me, I'm like it's like soul crushing. He's like Summer, calm down. Like why are you putting so much pressure on yourself if it makes you
Yep.
so miserable? And that's where I come back to this like I ponder on this. I'm like are we like the way that we were raised and this like hyper masculine energy, like have we taken on the role of a man? And that's why again like yeah, it feels good to our egos in the moment, but I can tell you from my like behind closed doors it's fucking soul crushing. I'm like I'm like my nervous system is out the wazoo. um I have nights where I can't sleep, where my head is racing, all the things. And I'm like, it honestly does not serve my life. It doesn't give me energy. It does the complete opposite. So then that's where I ask myself, like, what is that fine line? Because yes, grit, discipline, all the things, the drive, like I think it's good to have even as females because same thing, like you need it. You need it. But like stepping into more of this flow, intuition, I think a big fear for us is like, well, I'm going to lose my drive then. And I'm going to lose my spot at number 1. But like
Mm.
what again for what? What's that spot worth? And like what's the impact of maintaining that number 1 spot? Because I see women, I'm thinking of one of my friends actually in particular. She is probably one of the most stuck in high gear, over functioning, high achieving women that I know. And she is maintaining this like number 1 spot, in her career. But at the same time, she's developed this autoimmune disease. Her body is literally eating away at itself. And I say, for what? At what point is enough enough? And I'm like, babe, you gotta step like you gotta step away. And she literally is like, it's an addiction, like cannot step away, cannot give herself the break.
It's it's so sad, honestly. And it's so amazing because culture has just totally shifted. Like the culture of women today, we think that it's independent, it's grind, grind, grind. It's support yourself. It's start the business. It's hating men. It's all these, but it's like you said, if you go back in time, but I think if you look for external validation then, if I had to guess, I think their external validation would have looked different. I think it would have been tied to finding a husband, having kids. What does your home look like? I think that would look different then than how it does now. But I do think there is that level of men and women are different. And I think that in our core, though, we are more that nurture, that emotion person, that slow person. We're not meant to run the business 24/7, 50 for 50 years. Um, I think that's why women like us get on podcasts and there's like this community now of women that talk about healing and autoimmune and nervous system regulation and getting out of their masculine energy and into their feminine because they have realized firsthand how it has affected their health, their relationships, and I do think that's a large toxic piece of culture today for women is that we have been told now for the last handful of years to be independent and do it all ourselves and grind, grind, grind. And but to a level though, the world has kind of created that. Like,
Hmm.
especially if you're a single person, there's a level of that, like you have to, right?
Hmm.
There's that survival component where it does feel like survival at some points. Like, well, I have to make money, I have to do this. And
Yeah, I mean, even if you think back to, I don't know, what, like 100 years ago, I feel like like people were getting married straight out of like 18, 17, right? And like
yeah,
like moving into these roles. And so I don't know, like you have to look at our society nowadays. We have the highest rate of depression, the highest rate of anxiety, the highest rate of suicides, the highest rate of everything. And it's like maybe what we're doing isn't right.
yeah,
Maybe the way things are structured isn't right.
yeah. And you know what? I think most people know that. I kind of do feel that, but I think we're all so sucked in that it's scary to a lot of us because I think that these things do have us. And I think that's scary. Like we recognize social media is toxic. Are we both going to go on it today? Yeah. Like I think that's kind of the world we live in is it's kind of scary and I think that's where we have to it's so important for us to detach from things and reflect and kind of just go back to the simple things and recognizing your values and what is important for you in life and really trying to live your life around that because this world and culture is so I don't even know what to call it. It will get you. Just will get you. And, 10, 20, 30 years from now, it's gonna be a new topic of, what's trending out there, what's pulling us in. And I think that's why it's so important to figure out your values, figure out what's important, and really try to live life by that because
I just want I'm like, I just want a homestead, I wanna delete social media, I want my
oh,
friends, I want a tribe, and I
literally
wanna live off the land and call it a day, and goodbye.
no, for real though, like, it's even just us talking and even me saying that, I'm like, it's kind of reconvicting for me to, like, yes, like, when I get off this call, like or, we use social media for, business, like, we should really work on, like, posting and ghosting, like, get out what
Mhm.
we need to get out, get off of it, and live our lives, and I listened to a sermon this past week that was talking about, like, work versus rest and how, like, life is meant to be enjoyed. We're not just meant to do, consume, 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 and be distracted. We're meant to enjoy life, enjoy the waterfalls, go on hikes, let our thoughts wander, gaze into whatever, be in community. Like that's what we're meant to do.
Especially as women. Like, if you
Especially
again, if you think of that,
yeah.
if you were to tell Logan to do that, he'd be like, "Fuck no, I'm
No,
grinding and I'm going."
well, 100%, and I think it would be so interesting to, like, have men on here too and kind of reiterate that men and women are different but also, like, recognize and celebrate that though too, because
Yeah,
I think in today's world, we don't do that.
yeah.
I think women try to get men to be like us, and men try to get women to be like
Yes.
them.
Yes.
And I think we need to remember that we're different and we're complementary. It's supposed to be that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, we need men for certain reasons, and men need us for certain reasons, and in whether it's in a relationship, in society, in business, that's just the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah. What are your top 3 values and how do you live by them?
God is number 1, health, community. That's really it. I literally just did reflecting on this yesterday. Um, God is number 1 for me, and I think that has really helped me to slow down and just remember, what is this all for? Why am I doing the things that I'm doing? What's important for me? My health. I already kinda said it, like, if you have a million problems until you have a health problem, then you only have 1 problem. Health is everything, everything.
Mhm.
And health is more than just exercising and nutrition.
Mhm.
How are you sleeping? How are you pooping?
Mhm.
How's your stress?
What's your
How's your skin?
Mhm.
Like,
What's your
everything. That's
what's your body feel like on a daily
yeah,
basis in
yeah,
your stomach, in your chest, in your head?
right. Mental health. Do you wake up and do you wanna get out of bed in the morning? All of that is health to me, and at the end of the day, though, God, health, and then who do I wanna spend my time with? People I love. God forbid if I weren't gonna be here tomorrow, all I would care about is who I spent my day with.
Ugh,
I mean, that's my values.
how do we start a movement of this?
The
This
sad
is
thing
what
is
people
we shouldn't have to, but yeah,
do.
I know.
Me and Morgan did a podcast last week, I think, and I had played, or Emily, I had played a reel that she had sent me, and it was like they've robbed us of community so bad that now, right, everybody's out here like, oh, I want a homestead and I want to live with my friends, and pretty much what I just said. And then she's like, that's called a fucking tribe, babe.
Yeah,
Like they robbed
yeah,
us of community so bad that that's now our pipe dream. Like that is now our pipe dream. What used to be.
yes. No, I think I saw what you are talking about, and it's so true. Because if you talk to, you know, enough of certain women, I think they will all say that, like, we just want, everything that culture is not pushing right now. Like, we want the peace, the quiet, the nature, the home, the family, the peace of mind, God, community. Like, how many people are really saying, like, I want the Instagram and the followers and the influence and the money and the sex and the fame but I mean, I shouldn't even say that. There is people that want that. People
Mhm.
are chasing that.
Mhm.
And I think it's but then you'll see, why do we see the most successful, hilarious actors and actresses commit suicide at the end of the day? Why
Mhm.
do we see millionaires, billionaires commit suicide? Why do we see people cheat on their beautiful significant others? People aren't happy. They're chasing the wrong things.
What do you think about the Kardashians?
I don't follow any of them. I don't ever want to talk about any of them.
I feel like they are like I always relate it back to them, because I feel like they are like the top of the, especially in women, like I feel like they're top of the food chain. And so I feel like everything else kind of follows like their trends and what they, the way that their bodies look. And I feel like they are kind of like the pivotal, I don't know, like idols of our current 2025
Yeah.
society.
Yeah, and I feel like they have bred where we're at today. I feel like several years ago, it was kind of like them, but they have, like, bred so
Mhm.
many duplicates of them for sure,
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
sure.
Um, okay, what else? I have written down like, okay, the societal pressures to look a certain way. That's something that's huge, huge, huge on my mind, is similar to the Kardashian topic of like,
Yeah,
okay, what are some of the pressures that we feel as a society to look to perform a certain way as females? What have you in your recent, I feel like you've done a like such deep work with this, especially over the past year. I've noticed a major shift in you from, okay, I feel like I'm supposed to act this way and be this way and wear this thing and do this thing to, "No, fuck that, I'm going my own way." So I want to bring the conversation there.
yeah, gosh, talk about, like, so empowering, though. Like, I used to wear the Jordans, I used to wear the fake eyelashes, the hair extensions, put the filters on. I literally in this group chat that we're talking about, I literally, screenshotted, like, my pictures and videos from, like, 3 years ago when I was still coaching. I'm like, "I can't believe people used to listen to me and I look like this." Like, I was your poster child of just another person trying to chase culture. And now I'm posting on Instagram my skin journey where I had acne and then I had a bare face. Like 3 years ago, I would have never posted my bare face on Instagram. And hair extensions are out. I had no eyelashes. And, even what I have on today, like, even just promoting, like, things that I believe and stand for, like, truly, I think I've stood for these things even 5 years ago, but I was trying to push them down so far to be accepted by people that I thought I wanted to be accepted by. And I think a lot of this, it all goes back to the same things. We all want belonging. We all want to feel accepted. We all want friends. We all want boyfriends, girlfriends. We all want community. And we're so willing to sacrifice ourself and our values to do that.
Um, so when it comes to the filters and the makeup and all the things like you talked about, you think the main driver of that was wanting to be accepted?
100%. I think for me, I tied so much of how I look to, yeah, acceptance. And I think a lot of it, though, too, if women are being honest, I think we want male attention so bad.
Mhm.
Even if what we're doing is with women, I think a lot of why we want to look a certain way is a tied to because again, if you kind of go back to our primal self though, like we are meant to like find a mate and like be attractive to be attracted to someone. So I
Mhm.
think there is truth in wanting male validation, but then again, like everything else, there's that line of our kids, are you completely living for male validation? Are you completely living and tying self-worth to your face?
Well, then that goes into the topic too of like, who are you trying to attract? I think you posted a post like you're wearing lingerie out to the freaking bar or
Mhm.
whatnot, expecting to, attract this like high leverage man, but it's like the men out there who are high level are probably not attracted to that type of woman or that type of behavior. And I have a client that I'm thinking of in particular. We had this conversation, classic high achiever, overachiever, same shit, different font. She
Yep.
we had the conversation of because a lot of times coaching and starting a either health and fitness journey, or I'm more into like I would say personal development now and helping people in that realm. But when you start that journey, it's so much more than just what you put in your mouth and how you move your body. It's everything, like we talked about. It's nervous system regulation. It's how you feel, how you present yourself, even down to your relationships, friendships, all the things. So we started a conversation of like she said something along the lines of, I could never date a man who has smaller legs than me. Like he has to be bigger than me. He has to be taller than me. And I said, okay, pause for a second here because the way that you are, whatever you're projecting onto that man, what if first of all, your dream man was sitting in front of you? Like the man that was going to take top tier care of you, who was going to protect, provide, who has all of the characteristics of your 10 out of 10 man, but because he had smaller legs, now you're discarding him. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, what if that man was sitting in front of you, like saying the exact same thing in opposite of, I would never date a woman who has bigger legs than me. And so I'm like, what type of the energy that you're putting out there is also the energy that you are receiving. Like, if you want to find a man, I'm assuming you want a man who accepts you just the way that you are. And if you feel the need to plaster your face in makeup and wear this thing and make sure your hair is done perfectly to a T, and you bring that energy out into the world, most likely you're going to attract a man who also has the same thought process traits, all the things, versus if you want a man again who accepts you exactly for who you are, that's where you walk around with your messy bun, your no makeup, you're just you're your authentic self, and you are ultimately going to attract a man who also has that same exact energy of, I want a woman who's going to accept me the way that I am. So it's like this mirror effect of, well, what are you actually blocking out of your life because of this facade that you're putting on?
100%. How you are, the person, if we're talking a man, if they fall for you the way that you currently are, and if you have a face full of makeup, fake hair, you're in skimpy clothing, and they want to be with you because of that, but then you get upset that they objectify you, they are talking to other women, that's why they fell for you. So it's always so interesting to me when, this type of woman I feel like we're talking about in culture, they're so quick to say, all men are the same. I hate men, yada, yada, yada. But look how you're presenting yourself. You are drawing in that type of man. Why would a high value man look at someone that's wearing lingerie out to a bar Friday and Saturday night? They would never think about being with a
They're probably
woman
not
like
even in the bar, let's be honest.
exactly, exactly. So that's where I talk about accountability as well. It's like women need to take more accountability for, all I come across as crappy men or all men are the same. No, you are attracting the wrong type of man based on how you are displaying yourself, what you're wearing, how you're acting, what you're allowing into your life.
Yeah, me and Logan talk about this all the time, because every single one of my friends is single. So anytime anybody is around, we get into the man topic, but that's something too where I would consider him a high value man, and he's like, it's not always like these women that say, "Oh, men suck. I hate men." Like they blah 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 blah. He's like, you do have to take a little bit of radical responsibility. Like, what are you doing that's maybe repelling the high level men? Like, they're out there. I promise you they are. I promise you that there are probably millions of high level, what do we want to call it? Like an A plus man.
Yeah.
They're out there, but how are you actually, like, what actions are you taking, or not taking, right? And not putting yourself in the place of those men. And something that he talks about, like, we noticed this on our 4th of July weekend. Like he talked He talked business for 11 hours straight on that drive.
Yeah.
Morgan, by the time she was like, "What the fuck? How does somebody talk about
I
this?"
wish I was there. I would have loved it. It would have kept me awake.
And then the entire weekend, like you get the vibe. Like he is wired. He is wired for business. He is wired for the things that he enjoys in life, and he will talk about them nonstop. And so, right, if I consider him a high level man, and you as a woman need to realize, right, like a man like that is not going to want to talk about the drama that happened yesterday, or Susan, or XYZ. Like they want to talk about, they want to have um high level
Intellectual
conversations.
conversation. Yeah.
And so you have to, there's like give and take, like in both relationships. Like, yes, he's come to pumpkin patches with me and things like that. But at the end of the day, like you also have to be a high level woman, and you have to present yourself as a high level woman. You have to have high level woman conversations with him. You have to be able to handle and hold that level of a man in your life. So that's something that we talk about, is like, where can you take responsibility for that? Where can you actually say, "Hey, am I somehow some way like actually attracting a lower level man, and what can I do to go out and find that higher level man?"
Yes. Yes, that is exactly it. It's literally so if we break down any of these concepts, I mean, if you can just think about it, it's so simple, right? Like, that makes total sense, and I think anyone listening will be like, "Wow," like, "Yeah." I mean, that makes total sense, and I think there's some women, though, that will get offended, like, "Well, I wear what I wanna wear because I feel good." Why do you feel good? Because wi if you are wearing, let's just say, like, a crop top and like a mini skirt and heels out, and you're getting look after look. Naturally, people are going to look at you, right? For whatever reason it is, a lot of women will deem those looks as confidence and affirming how they look. And so they'll continue to do that. And they'll say that they do it because they feel good, but really, again, it's just more external validation for them.
Mhm.
And I think we have to understand it is not all men, especially a high value man, does not want their woman showing off their body to the world. They want a woman to maybe talk a certain way or to not be in certain environments, to not gossip, to not be, around other women that are going to the bars all the time or hanging out with, they all have guy friends. That's another conversation. Do you think
Mhm.
girls should have guy friends?
Probably not.
No. I think if we can just think about these things more, just the more conscious we can become of these things, I think that's when you're just gonna level up the type of people that come into your life. And I
Yeah.
don't think there's one right way a woman like, I don't think a woman has to be a certain type of way in order to have a certain type of man in their life, right? Like, we're all different, and I think that's what makes us all great and find our people. But I think if you can just be conscious about these things and even have conversation like this with someone that you're pursuing, I think that alone just makes you more high value. Does it mean that you can never swear, can't ever wear, crop top to the gym? I think a lot of it obviously comes back to your intellect and your mindset and type of
Mhm.
conversation you can hold, and are you one to gossip? What are the things that you're involved in? All those things matter.
100%.
Looks can draw people in, but are you a shitty person?
You got some depth to ya, or are
Yeah.
we surface level, babe?
Right.
Okay, what last question. What when I feel like, again, our society like defines beauty, right, as being thin and having a big butt and a small waist and the lips and this and that and the other thing. But how can somebody listening, from your perspective, like, first of all, what does beauty mean to you? What's your definition of it? And how can someone kind of curate their own definition of beauty that actually serves them?
Yeah. Gosh, I feel like that's such a loaded question, and I feel like in every stage of life that could be changing for someone too, because I think so much of just anything, we want just an answer and a solution to, so then it's done with. But
Yep.
I think a lot of the things that we're talking about as we grow and age and are in different seasons of life, I think all of these things are going to carry different weight and different value. I think a beauty conversation for us today is going to be different than, after we have kids
Mhm.
versus when we're 60 years old. Um, I think beauty for right now, I think it's so cliche, but it's so true when you're actually like living it and being it, but your unique, authentic self. And I think just discovering what that is for you.
Mhm.
There's so many things that are trending and what culture tells us to look and be like and dress like, but I think just asking yourself, like, do I actually like this? And I think it's fine if there is something trending that you do like and you like it and it fits you, that's fine. But I think it's just asking yourself, like, are you actually into this? And I think so many times, I think in the past why I've been churned or got conformed to culture is because I tried to be authentic and I either got someone talked about me, I got bullied, I got asked why I'm wearing that, why can't I just dress and look and be normal? All those things have been said to me. And there was a point in my life where I just wanted to rebel more, dyed
Mhm.
my hair red, wore dark makeup, like literally wore swim trunks at one time in my life because I just so badly wanted to rebel against that. But then I think I got to a certain point in getting older where I'm like, I just so badly wanted to conform for people to like me. But then I think you get to that other point where you realize that that just is, it sucks your soul away. And at the end of the day, you're not happy because you're not being yourself. And I think if you can, I will say for me, whether it's healthy or whether it's not, but there in like certain television shows or even on Instagram, I've found people that are displaying a type of persona that I feel like is me. And so I've used them as inspiration to be more authentic. And I feel like that has really helped me. And I think it's just experimenting. And I think like even using beauty and fashion as like an expressive outlet, like I think that's awesome. Like, because I am a person like I do like the makeup and the hair and the clothes, but I do want to be authentic in it. And I think that has really helped me be more confident in who I am because I do kind of feel like when I walk into a room, like I have a little bit of different energy and spice, and that's where I find my confidence from.
Mhm. What
I don't
yeah,
remember
I
what your
always
question
I
was.
always come back. I'm like I'm such a tomboy at heart. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, you put me in a friggin' tank top and jeans and I'm
Yep. Yeah, and that's great. I think it's just like, whatever anyone is, be that,
yeah.
you know? Because confidence is everything. If we all notice the girl in the room that's confident.
Oh
She
yeah.
might not even, let's say, like from a culture beauty standpoint, she might not be that, but her confidence is so radiating that she might look a 6 out of 10, but because her confidence is so strong, she's a 10 out of 10. And I think
Mhm.
that confidence just comes from knowing
Who the
who you
fuck you
are, who
are.
you want to be.
Yup. Yup.
Yeah.
Yup. Yup. Okay, juicy ass conversation.
Ah,
What's something that you want to leave, I guess, this generation of women? We could go that deep with it.
uh,
What's a piece of advice that you want to leave everyone listening, this generation of women with?
discover your values and discover yourself and deny anything that is not that. Eliminate distractions because the distractions in your life, especially culture, social media, news, they will deter you from your values and how you want to be. And your values might change a little bit, but I think for most of your life, your values will kind of stay the same. You're going to evolve as a person throughout life. But I think if you can discover your values, your morals, and just really stay in tune with yourself, always be reflective, take accountability over your life, and just do everything that you can to live by your values and be authentic, I think you're gonna be pretty happy in life.
Mic drop.
Woo.
Thank you so much for coming on. This was great.
Yay.
Where can people find you?
My Instagram is underscore Brooke Brower. That's kind of all the only place I'm at. So, and I don't even want to be on there, but you can find
Lovely.
me there.
Well,
Yep.
I'll take that in the show notes. For anybody listening as well, when we have the topic of community and like finding your tribe, finding your people, we have me and Emily from last week, our guest, we have two remaining retreat spots happening September 25th to the 28th, Bailey, Colorado. It's about an hour and a half drive from the airport. I got bitches flying in from all over. I got people flying in from Minnesota, from Florida, from Maryland, from Utah.
Yeah.
So if you're out of the state, don't let that be something that stops you. If you are in Colorado, join us. Two spots left.